take us through just who is Mark Carney?
Yeah, for sure. So he's really a financial expert through and through. He started his career at Goldman Sachs. He then went on to be governor of the Bank of Canada, then led the Bank of England, navigating both institutions through crises. And some would say he handled that incredibly well. Obviously on Sunday, he was elected leader of the Liberal Party. And he's expected to become or be sworn in as prime minister either Thursday Ottawa time or Friday Ottawa time. So important to note, he's not yet been elected as a member of parliament. He's only elected by Liberal Party members, but he's expected to be the next president or prime minister, excuse me, and a real financial whiz kid.
Yeah, he was working as the governor of the Bank of England in the wake of the global financial crisis. How do you think that will sort of help to guide Canada and I guess other US allies who have been who have been dealt some of these tariffs? How do you think that's going to sort of help guide everyone through this period?
So I think he's, definitely competent and qualified. There's no question about that. I think the kind of biggest unknown is the Trump administration's policy themselves. I think we've seen tariffs be on again, off again, really for the few months since his inauguration. A few days ago, they were on for a couple of hours, then they were off again. And so while I think Carney is, checks all the qualifications on paper, it'll really be a personality test for him, I think, to navigate the Trump administration, work with key players in the Trump White House and the president himself to hopefully find a resolution to this trade war going forward.
Mark Carney has been quite strong in his words, sort of pushing back on Donald Trump, which seems to be somewhat of a different tactic than other world leaders have taken. You mentioned there it might be a bit of a personality test. How do you think that is going to play out?
Yeah, and I know Australia, for example, hasn't decided to pursue reciprocal tariffs yet. And I think the key difference there is Carney's about to embark on an election campaign, right? Everything is showing and saying that he's likely going to call for a general election very soon after becoming prime minister officially. And I think in Canada, we're really seeing kind of heightened levels of nationalism, of patriotism that haven't necessarily been there before. So it's in Carney's political advantage to kind of, show he's standing up for Canada, taking a stand against Trump's trade wars and threats of annexation and becoming the 51st state. Carney made this very clear in his, victory speech on Sunday night, saying, Canada will never be part of the U.S. And I think also it plays into Carney's favor politically. The main opposition candidate, Pierre Poilievre, has been linked as being kind of Trump light or Trump-esque, and so that's definitely a place where Carney sees political weakness in the part of his opposition.
So if these reciprocal tariffs and I guess that rhetoric around becoming the 51st state, has that been a popular move with Canadians?
I'm not sure popular is the right word. I think, people are rightly concerned about the economic impacts. I think there's a lot of worry on the Canadian economy. People in Canada are very closely intertwined with their neighbors here in the United States. But I think there's definitely kind of a fighting spirit. People are willing to have a government that stands up for them, that's kind of embracing the trade war. And I should say this isn't a blanket sentiment. Certainly, there are those who prefer or would prefer that Canada take an approach similar to Australia. But I think there's definitely kind of a heightened level of national pride and willingness to back the government, give them some leeway in pursuing this kind of tit for tat approach.
Canada's alliance with the United States is similar to Australia's in that it is arguably one of the most crucial relationships each country has. How will these tariffs, do you think, impact on other aspects of those alliances?
Yeah, so I mean, Canada and the U.S., U.S., Australia, and U.S., Australia, and Canada obviously are all part of the Five Eyes, alongside the UK and New Zealand, the intelligence sharing partnership. Canada and the U.S. share such a long, intertwined land border, trade, culture, families, all across that border. Um, I think the U.S. is very lucky that it has as reliable an ally as Canada as its neighbor. A lot of countries are not in such a position. Um, but I think this will be in some ways a hiccup. In some ways, it'll dramatically change things. I think the U.S. and Canada will get past the trade war. Tariffs will be sorted out. They may be levied, they may be not. I don't think anyone is super clear there on where that'll end. But I think going forward, the broader Canada-U.S. dynamic will shift. Um, I think Canadians were really always expecting the U.S. to be in their corner, support Ottawa and Canada as a whole. And I think maybe now there's less of that belief, or at least that belief isn't taken at face value. That being said, the two countries are still intertwined. I think NORAD is a great example of this, North American Aerospace Defense Command. The two share a radar system to protect against incoming threats. So that's just one example, but you're going to see this kind of broad military working level government to government cooperation continue, both on North American continental defense matters, but also internationally. I think, despite the tariffs, the two countries are too close for any real significant break as of yet.
Imran Bayoumi, thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much.